It will now be my privilege to introduce Linda Hawks to you. Linda Hawks is the proud mother of 4 very proactive children. She is the wife of Jeff Hawks, who served as an elementary principal in Rexford for 26 years. Linda returned to college after her 4th child was born. She graduated from BYU in 1989. She earned a master's degree from Idaho State University the same year that her older daughter graduated from high school in 1996. And in 2008, she earned a PhD in curriculum and instruction from the University of Idaho. Linda has always been intrigued by the learning processes for different individuals, cultures, and genders. Her 4-month study in New Zealand allowed her a glimpse into a very different approach to teaching in the community, in the school, and in the home. We're grateful to have the opportunity for Sister Hawks to present to us today, and we look forward to her message. Sister.
Thank you, thank you. I see many of my students out there today, and I'm grateful. I'm sure the extra credit helped you a little bit today. Yes, I wanted to make sure there were some people in the seats. I also noticed as you were coming in, I noticed a lot of my colleagues, some of my colleagues from my former life when I taught in the public schools, and I think you're going to find this very interesting today. I see my students, I see family members, I see my grandchildren right up here on the front row, and so I hope that I have a message for all of you today. I need to let you know that my husband behind me, Jeff, is the creator of the video, the slide presentations, and the movies. He's spent hours and hours creating these things. She's right up here, Farron. This is my son-in-law, everybody. I want to thank him for that. He's probably put more hours into this presentation than I have. As you came in today, you saw a little video that he created about some of our experiences in New Zealand, but I just don't have time to talk about anything you saw in that video. That's why we ran it before we started today. My husband had some wonderful, wonderful missionary experiences that he could take hours, and he has movies and slides and everything. He presented there in a fireside on family history and activated a lot of people into that cause. He also was a missionary helping the elders in the area, and he also did proselyting himself. So we had very different experiences, but both very, very rich. Our 4-month stay in New Zealand was very, very entertaining, I would say, first of all, and educational. And I just realized last night, as we were talking, that we have only been home 4 months. And I think, wow, time went so much faster in New Zealand than it did here. Okay? I went to New Zealand. You probably wonder, why did I pick New Zealand? Well, it's beautiful. Everyone who goes there loves it. I don't know of anybody who doesn't love New Zealand. But maybe you don't know that New Zealand has always been renowned for its educational expertise. They have a very focused attention to the child. And I was intrigued. I've always been intrigued. When I was in my undergraduate study work at BYU, I studied Mari Clay very thoroughly. She's always been one of my heroes. She's passed away now. But her influence is alive and well in New Zealand. I spent a little time at the university where she actually taught, sat in her chair, sat at her desk, felt her vibes. And it was wonderful to be in the same place of someone you've always admired. Their educational system, but what most impressed me, I went there for the education, but what most impressed me when I was there was the attitude of the people about their children. And it's made me rethink some things. It's made me rethink, in America, do we really love children? I don't say we don't, but do we love children other than just our own? In New Zealand, I was just exposed to so many different things where volunteers came out of the woodwork, where parents had the most responsibility for their children, and they would not allow the schools to raise their children. They would not allow the schools to have their children after 3:30 in the afternoon, and the shops close down at 4, and everyone goes home to family time. And they just do not let other people have the most influence on their children. Now, what you're going to see today is just an hour. It's a small sampling of what I did. I have focused some attention on especially my host school, and my little host school was Henderson South in Henderson, just out of the city of Auckland. Trevor Diamond was my host principal. He invited me, he shepherded me, he helped me, and I spent many, many hours at their school. And I just don't have time to show you. I visited over 20 schools of all ages, and I visited community events. And so today is just a small sampling, but from this small sampling, I would hope to challenge you. I hope that by the end of this hour, I will have challenged your thinking as to the way we do things, the way we think, and maybe ask ourselves, well, what if? Or could we? And maybe when should we start? And so I hope to be able to have you think of those things. Now, to our dear friends in New Zealand, because this will be posted online, Jeff and I just want to say we miss you, and that our 4 months there was truly life-changing for us. We miss our friends. Those people know how to love people. They put everything aside when you come, everything. And they sit with you, and they eat with you, and they sing to you, and they love you unconditionally. Stranger in their home. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. So we miss you, and we hope to be back. We don't know when, but we would love to go back and visit. Okay, let's talk about New Zealand. Where in the world is New Zealand? As you can see, some people say it's at the bottom of the earth, but look at where it's positioned. Now think of immigration, because in New Zealand, they have immigrants from all over the world, and not just like we talk about immigration here in the United States. We have two, maybe 3 areas. These people have people from all over the world. The actual size of the 2 islands of New Zealand is about the actual size of our California, if you put the 2 islands together. But yet, they only have about just a little over 4 million people on both islands. But the city that we lived in, the city of Auckland, had 1.4 million of those 4 million people in one major city. The other major city is Wellington. It probably has just as many, but we lived in the city of Auckland, and we lived in the bush. That's what people call it. They don't call it the country, it's the bush. But really, we lived in the rainforest. This is our little cottage. You see our 2 cars that we had to purchase when we got there. Mine was the little Volkswagen in the back. That little Volkswagen took me downtown Auckland every morning during rush hour on the wrong side of the road. They don't have stop signs, well, not many. They're all roundabouts, and they all go the wrong way. Yes, so you have a little idea there. This little cottage was 500 square feet. That's not very big. And our rent was $360 a week, which is about $14.40 a month. So college kids, don't complain about your rent. Okay. Notice in the very back of this picture, you'll see a water tank behind the house, behind the deck. That's where all the rainwater was collected, and that was our water. Our drinking water was all filtered. It was our drinking water, washing water, everything. And that was interesting. You'll notice that we lived in the rainforest. That's our driveway down to the main road. So you notice all the colors of green? There's a reason why there's so much green in New Zealand. It rains, and it rains, and it rains. Now we were there in, from December till August. So we were there in their winter time, which was like spring here. But this beach, called Bethel's Beach, was 8 minutes from our front door. Downtown Auckland was about 20-25 minutes on a good day from where we lived out in the bush. The Hamilton Temple was just an hour and a half away from us, and I say just an hour and a half because to those people that was wonderful to have a temple even that close. New Zealand's famous for, as you know, I don't know if you've seen one of these, this is the kiwi bird. It is now endangered. This picture was taken in the museum, actually. It's famous for its kiwi fruit. I think New Zealand exports more kiwis than anybody. But did you also know that if you live in New Zealand, you're called a kiwi? Yes, I learned that. And did you know that there are 7 sheep to every person in New Zealand? Now, I want you to notice how these cows came right up to my husband so they could have their picture taken. My husband has a special relationship with cattle. Okay, it's beautiful. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but can you see the top sign on the top of all the yarn? Can you see how they spell the word color? C-O-L-O-U-R-S. Now, another thing they're very, very famous for is their wool. And we got to spend an entire day at a farm where the sheep produced the best wool in the country. And the reason we know that is the wool won the first prizes in every event that it went to, every competition. And the lady was so sweet and so nice to us, but she does not know how to turn on or use a computer. So everything that she did when I said, now I want samples and could you send me this? And she looked at me, well, what's your address? And I meant by email or something. And it was so cute. She went along and got me little samples of all the type of wool, and then she stapled it onto a piece of cardboard, and then she wrote it by hand, the name of every type of wool that she had on her farm. We were there all day, and then she took us into the room where she has a room where she keeps all of her awards that her sheep have won over the years. Yes. We also lived in and around, and we went to, let's see, now you're excited about something. This little place, it was interesting, the tour cost you $75 a person to just ride the bus and drive through the farm. Now my husband is very, very smart. He says, why should we pay the $75? We can drive through the farm on our own. So we kind of followed the bus as far as we could, and then we just went up, around, and down, and took pictures and had a lovely time. This is Matthew Cowley. Those of you who are older will remember him. I think we thought that the sign probably says president. He was one of the very early missionaries in New Zealand, had fantastic conversion stories, and he's still today. They talk about little Matthew, little Matthew, little Matthew, everywhere you go. Fish and chips, little corner shops are very, very popular in New Zealand. You go in, they wrap the fish and chips in newspapers, and it's so greasy that by the time you get to your car, it's just so greasy, but everyone eats it there. I particularly didn't like fish, so I really didn't have any, but my husband did. He said it was delicious, even though he shouldn't have had any either, but he did. Here's another one, another fish shop. You'll see them everywhere. The little fish and chip shops are like our McDonald's, and are like that. You go in, you order it, and then you just take it out. Beautiful scenery. Every picture you've ever seen of New Zealand about the scenery is absolutely true. It's the most beautiful place you'll ever see in the whole world. The coastal plains. Now remember, I think this picture was taken in the winter. Their winter. Okay, here's another picture, some scenery. Now, famous people from New Zealand. I tried to think of some people that my students could recognize. Lorde became very, very famous when we were there. She had the #1 hit in America. She was top on the charts above, I want to say her name right, Miley Cyrus. Is that right? It was just after the Wrecking Ball event. In New Zealand, they were not impressed by the Wrecking Ball event. They think we are very, sometimes immoral people, that we would let one of our children do such a thing. I didn't know about the other gentleman. We did some research and found this man. Here's some people you might recognize that are from New Zealand. Haven't met either one of them. It was so funny when I would go into the schools, the little children would say to me, they'd say, "Can you talk more? We want to hear your accent." And I said to them, "You're the ones with the accent." But they wanted to know if I knew Tom Cruise. Okay, Russell Crowe. I don't know if you know Peter Jackman, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Here's some other famous people. This man, Hillary, he actually had a huge picture and monument in the museum in downtown Rockland. That's how we found out about him and the women's right. And maybe just last winter, well, let's see, it was there last winter, this young woman from New Zealand, 15 years old, was the #1 golfer in the world. And so all those people are from New Zealand. What you'll find about the people from New Zealand, very entrepreneuring, very interactive. My husband, being the principal that he is, we would go to people's houses and we'd visit, and he would quiz the children on their math facts and all those types of things. And you know what? They didn't have them all memorized, and that bothered him. And I said to him, "Do you know why they don't have them all memorized? Because they know where to go find the answers. It's called a calculator." And in New Zealand, they do not believe in teaching facts for memorization, just to have a bunch of facts in your head. They believe in teaching the children where to go find the facts when you need them. A little different concept. Let me talk to you a little bit about the communities. I love this sign. That's New Zealand. Free-range humans, not chickens. They are everywhere. It is so expensive there. A gallon of gas is about $8. Of course, they sell it by the liter. You see walkers, they call them trampers, we call them hikers. But you'll see people everywhere with their strollers, walking everywhere. So you really do have to be careful of the pedestrians. But what's interesting to me is that, especially about 3:30 in the afternoon, you cannot get across a road, a major road in our little subdivision, our little suburb of Henderson, because none of the school children use the crosswalks. They just go. And nobody ever gets hit. It's just amazing to me. They just free range. Now here's a Saturday market where we would go and get fresh fruits and vegetables. And the interesting at the Saturday market is there are actually more Asians than islanders. New Zealand is being populated now by the Asian population, and actually had the percentage here. I'll have to maybe find that in a minute. The population between 1991, I think it was, and today, the Asian population in New Zealand has actually doubled. They are coming, especially from China, and they're coming with lots of money, and they're purchasing homes, and they're driving the prices up of everything because they come in with cash, and they offer you $1 million for your home. And then everybody on your street wants $1 million for their home. And they're getting those prices, but they're getting them because people coming in from other countries. And it is making it so that the locals, especially the native-born Maoris and Samoans, Tahitians, sometimes they cannot afford to buy a home. They cannot. And so the Saturday market is an interesting place to go to get your fruits for the week. A lot of people do live like that. They buy fresh daily bread every day, fresh fruits every day. It's very interesting. Here's your takeaway stores. You'll find them anywhere. Well, they're kind of a combination of our McDonald's and our Mavericks. They don't have well, they do have a McDonald's, but I didn't ever see a Maverick. You have two little takeaway stores, and here's the supermarket where we shopped. Oh, and we got in big trouble on this day, didn't we? we took our camera, and we were taking pictures in the supermarket because we wanted to go home and show you how, a double-seated supermarket, they call them trolleys, because I've never seen a double-seater just lined up like that. And we just wanted to show you the price of a flat of eggs and how the eggs are not refrigerated in New Zealand. They're just out there, and show you the price of 18 eggs and show you the price that's regular, $3.75 for that 2-liter bottle of soda. and they had it on sale for $2.99, and I said, oh, I've got to show those prices to people, they just won't believe it. And we got about right here, and the manager of the store came and told us, put your pictures, put your phone away, quit taking pictures, you are not to take pictures. And we're like, okay, I guess we're not in America anymore. So, but notice the price. I had a really bad habit when I went to New Zealand. I drank Diet Coke, maybe once, maybe more than once a day. And going to New Zealand broke that bad habit because a little 12-ounce can of Coke was $1.75. What? It was only $1.75. I know, I bought one. And I said to myself, why are you buying, something for $1.75? So I want you to notice in this picture, notice the trees in the background. They're very, very conservative. They replant and grow trees. As you see the straight lines, that they harvest them, and it's one of their biggest exports that they have in New Zealand. You'll see here that it's on the train, and we saw train loads and especially ship loads of wood that was being transported out of the country, exported. Notice here, we went on a little hike. We went tramping in their beautiful, beautiful scenery. But before you can go hiking, you have to spray off the bottom of your shoes. You have to clean them with a special cleaner so that you don't take any bacteria or anything into the forest. They're very, very protective. Environmentalists, very, very protective of their forests and everything. They don't want you bringing in diseases that could kill some of their very precious trees. And I can't remember, is it Kaura tree? Kaura tree, this is one of their famous trees that they are famous for. Notice the canopy that it supplies at the top. We're right in the middle of the rainforest there. Now, something else about New Zealand, they're very preserving of the past, of their own past cultures. We saw so many old cars on the street. That's what the people drive, and it's not just on Sunday or on holidays, but that is what the people are driving. This is a typical little pickup truck that we saw. My husband was, fascinated by that. Because the roads are so narrow and the price of gas is so much, they have to, accommodate and make their trucks smaller. Now here is the rail system. This is one of the main forms of transportation between the cities in New Zealand. And I need you to know that the parents of New Zealand supply all transportation to their children to and from school and events. There are no school buses in New Zealand. That is something the parents said, we will do that for our children. We don't want you transporting. So the parents either buy a train pass or a bus pass, and she's helping a little person there put their little tack on the map. You see all the pictures of those little children? They have come to New Zealand from different countries, even different continents. And they have all come to this one little elementary school, and Debbie is their principal, and she has them on their kind of first introduction to the school. They take a little yarn, and she puts it from their country of origin to where they are today. And if you could see this close up, you would see the yarn spread all over the world. This is just one little school. There's much exposure to the Maori culture. This is the little school that hosted me. This is Henderson South School. Notice that this young man, who's looks like he's moving there. Is this the movie? Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about the movie before I show it to you. What the sister, the older one, the one that's not playing the guitar, is a member of our church. And she and her partner work in what's called the Samoan unit. In my school, we had a Maori unit and a Samoan unit. In other words, the schools in New Zealand compete for students. They have an expertise or they have a focus. And parents choose the school for their child, depending on the expertise or focus. And so if you want your child to be fluent in Samoan by the time they're 8 years old, you send them to a school that's got a Samoan unit. And so these children, not only, they start at 5 years old, and at 5 years old, the curriculum is about 80-20, 80 English, 20% Samoan or Maori, And then by the time they get to, they call them juniors, from ages 5 to 8, and then there's seniors from 9 to 12. Multi-age classrooms. You don't ever have just 5-year-olds in the same room. 5-year-olds learn from the 8-year-olds. So multi-age classrooms. And this little video here, one of the older children is taking the lead in this.
Good afternoon.
Did you understand that? Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Hawks. Beautiful. Did you notice in this video how the older children are in front, the younger children behind, older children teaching the young in all instances here? Let me tell you a little bit about the structure of their communities. The community has decided that the school and the religion is central to their community. So a school is built first, and then the community is built around it. Schools are average size about 300. That's what they're hoping for. And at every school, there is a school board, their parents, the principal, and the teachers. And those people make all decisions for the school. There is no state superintendent. There is no national superintendent. There's no state board of education. There is a ministry of education that gives guidance, but they cannot make policy. All policy is made within the individual schools. Parents have taken that responsibility and said, we want policy for our kids, and we know our children best. And so that's a very, very different structure there. Interesting, very, very different than us here. Okay, let me show you another, this is another school that I visited on their cultural exchange day. Also, I want you to notice that little song that we just heard, you know, every child of every culture learns every other culture's songs and dances. They don't just teach the Maoris their native dances, they teach the Tahitians, the Maori dances, and so on. Oh boy, let's just go to this one. Sorry, we missed that one. Let's just keep going. Oh, let's go to a Mormon Christmas party in New Zealand. Christmas party. It lasted 3 hours. Wonderful. Okay, we're just going to scoot through these because I know I have lots of movies that Jeff wants me to get to. Okay, I know you've heard of New Zealand rugby, but you know what? The schools do not provide sports programs. If you want your child to be in sports, you have to take them. You take them to games, but you're also the coaches. So there's no competitive sports in the schools. That's all done in the community. Preserving culture is done in the community. As you notice those little children standing up, taking charge, the Ward Christmas party and the other parties we went to, were all the young people were always in charge. The bishop never got up and welcomed anyone. It was the young people. They are taught public speaking and presentation from the day they're born. This is a Maori pa, or marae, that they call them. And they have them location, they are a family area for family gathering and worship. Now let me show you this one. This is a little school, Waitakere, clear out in the rainforest. And this is a volunteer who comes in and teaches these kids to preserve their culture. But I want you to notice the children in this video are not of the same culture. Oh, I went too far. And back. Okay, I wanted to show you that one. What is the time? Okay, that is, they are just always performing and reenacting and preserving their cultures. Okay, let's move in. This is actually inside of a museum. This is a marae that the children actually go to and learn many things. Can I just skip past this because we don't have time? Okay, here's another. These are statues and more maraes. And this is a traditional Maori greeting, is you touch noses. This is a very close family of ours, the Asakona family. My husband actually served with this man on a mission. Now this is something you will never see. This is a Relief Society flash mob. This is... In our State Relief Society meeting, we had a general meeting, and then they took us into two different rooms in the state building, and they taught the two different groups a dance. teaching message, Lean on Me. And it was a cool activity. All right. Like I say, there's so much to show and so little time. Let me just, in this one, let the pictures do the talking to you. This is how children get to school. That's a walking school bus. One person in the community takes their turn every week and gathers up all the children and takes them to school. These are what in our words would be called their standards. Innovate, engage, inspire, personalized learning, powerful partnerships, and empowered learners. This is an individual's chart. Children create and make these. What is my goal? This is where I started. This is where I want to be. And those are posted. Parents and children together create their learning goals for every term. There are 4 terms. This is an interesting learning model. Okay. This is an interesting one. We use this in the States a little bit. This is the thinking process using the different hats, and the person wearing the different hat incorporates different thinking style. This is a new community just being built. It's called Hobsonville Point. And you notice that this is the brand new school in the community before the homes are there. Here is the open classroom model. Now, you don't see any children because there are only 40 students in this school at this time. Notice how none of the furniture is attached to the floor. It's all movable. Notice the technology that they have. They are here to educate individual students for their personal desires. Here's the principal. The children in this school call him by his first name. And when I interviewed him, he says, this school is owned by the children, not by me. Here is a senior high school looking down from the 2nd floor. This is their commons area, again, with movable furniture. Here is their fashion design classroom. In this school, you can stay an extra year in high school and come out with a what we call a vocational certificate in fashion design and computer programming. Now, this little girl has the cutest accent, so what I did was translate for you. Okay, she says, when someone asked her, when asked what she has helped her to do well in school, this is what she says. She says, I think the learning process and the support from the teachers and the learning qualities. The learning process helps you to know what to do. You look at the learning process and it helps you to know where to go to get out of the pit. Over the years, teachers have supported me and helped build my confidence, and finally, I'm at my level in reading and writing.
I think the learning process and the support from the teachers and the learner qualities, because the learning process helps you when you're in the pit and you don't know what to do. You look at the learning process, which helps you find what you need to do to get out of the pit. And over the years, the teachers have supported me and built my confidence. And finally, I'm mastering my reading, and I'm getting out of my writing and my maths.
Okay. Now, I want you to listen to this principle. This principle says, as part of the teacher development for 2 years now, we've been, as teachers, really passionate about developing concepts, not topics. So we have been trying to think differently about how we show growth in students' conceptual understanding and recording that journey. We're using strategies around learning stories like Student's Voice, thinking organizers, and then she gets real excited. And she says, here comes the chickens today. Yesterday, the writing, we got out of those little 5-year-olds, and they were using vacuum cleaners and making sandwiches and scones, they call them scones, doing little inquiry lessons, so real to life. It was such a treat. I've got to write an animal policy quickly to make sure we get things right.
As part of that development for 2 years now, we've been, as teachers, really passionate about developing concepts, not topics. So we've been trying to think differently about how we show growth in children's conceptual understanding and recording that journey. So if you like, we're using real Te Whāriki strategies around learning stories and artefacts like Student Voice
like thanking organisers here for the chickens today. I've just, yesterday the writing they got out of the rabbits. Loved them. Those 5-year-olds are vacuum cleaning yesterday, making sandwiches and scones, and they're doing these really cool little petite inquiries that are so real life. But I'm always intrigued to see what's coming in next. Had to write an animal policy quickly to make sure we have things. I'm not
Okay,
interested.
I'm going to stop you and I'm going to tell you what she's going to say next. I'm not interested in academic data. You'll look at our writing data and you'll say, I couldn't understand what she said, but it's something like, oh, we're embarrassed. But when I look at progress data, behind the achievement data, I'm delighted. I couldn't ask more from our teachers at this point in time. We're not good at this. I mean, we're not at showing progress. And I want to be able to evaluate every single child because I think there are some kids sitting on their laurels that might be getting 0.4 gain and 0.4 input. But boy, they are capable of doing double.
Achievement data, and you'll look at our writing data and think, oh, there does make sense, data. When I look at the progress data behind that achievement data, I'm delighted, and I couldn't ask for any more of our teachers right at this point in time. So, and we're not good at schools. Well, we're not good at showing progress, and I want to be able to show value add for every single child, because I think there's some kids sitting on their laurels that they might be getting a 0.4 effect in 1 year's gain from 1 year's input, but boy, are they capable of double that. And what is the value add for all of our kids?
Okay, now this one I'm just going to walk you through. These are little preschools. We call them preschools. In New Zealand, these are called kindergartens. But they start at age 3 till 5. And it's very, very home-like, child-centered. Look at the tools these little 5-year-olds are allowed to use. I said to them, if we had this in America, we'd be sued. And they said, well, don't you teach them how to use them properly? I love this little preschool that was created around this tree. Because kids love to climb trees. Sandbox in here's a boat. They just pulled in an old boat. And you'll see there to the side, there's a motor. And I think behind it, there's a steering wheel. And so what do kids do? They recreate. Here's little Henderson South School. Look at this classroom. Isn't it beautiful? I said to them, the fire marshal would have, they would fire me. The fire marshal would tell me to take everything off the walls. And one teacher at the school, she said, the fire marshal? Oh yeah, he knows me, his son's in my class. Here's our little Henderson School, where this is my host school. Notice how the buildings are separate. Now that remember, this is the middle of winter. Here's their hall, where they have lots and lots of interaction. I don't know that we're going to have time to show this. This is a beautiful song, though. I wish we had time. I wanted to get to the swimming pools. I heard a mother say in one of the school board meetings that we attended, I don't care if my daughter has her math facts memorized. Why would I care about that if she drowns in the boat tonight with my husband while fishing? So the parents have said, we want swimming lessons taught in our schools. And if you don't have a pool, we'll buy you a portable pool. And we will put it on a trailer and on a truck, and we'll get a generator. But we want our kids to learn to swim. We want life-saving skills for our children. See the power of local control in your school districts. Here's a garden. There's a garden at every school that I visited. The children plant the garden. They harvest the garden. They learn about solar energy. They learn about compost. They learn about recycling. They just do all these things. One little boy at the kindergarten one day, he had a lunch, and he did not get a star because all of the packages in his lunch were not recyclable. All right, so many mixed cultures in the New Zealand culture, and I just want to emphasize that I was just so impressed with the family and how they keep their children close. They eat meals together, chop suey, green bananas. They eat, they laugh. Look at all the fat in that. Chicken. They just, oh, this is something we had for breakfast one morning. spaghetti on toast with an egg. This is pavlova. It's a beautiful dessert, wonderful. But the family keeps their family close, their children close. Family traditions are strong. They go through community, through the schools, through everything. They're speaking, they're learning, they're writing. Everything is about who they are. And in closing, I would like to play this little song that this family sang for us as they invited us.
Go back. Sama uli mo'y kapanagi ko tae pueto kaife ko to kai kari pori ko to moni silani boka kata kakiai pertama uli mo'y kapanagi ko silani pokai kata kakiai kota kamongi amai aku onai moto tukulu akini moto tukulu akini
How would you like to be greeted like that? Strangers in a home invited to dinner and greeted like that. My hope today is that you have seen something or heard something today that would make you rethink, especially you future parents, especially you parents with young children. I think we need to take responsibility, more responsibility for our own families and our own children, and I think we need to stand up for things that sometimes I feel like I'm following a script that I had no part in writing. And I think that we need to write our own scripts. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
We know many of you need to head out to classes. This is a forum, so it's appropriate for us to give Sister Hawks a We'll excuse those who need to leave to a class, but we want to let people know that there will be a question and answer session that we'll have. We'll start that in just a few moments. It's going to be up the front of the chapel here, so if you'd like to participate in that, please join us up here in the front of the room.